My name is Amy, and I'm so excited to be with you today to tell you a really important story and to invite you in with me, if you will. You know, we hear a lot about this idea of generations, and it makes a lot of sense for us to think about a group of people in terms of world events, cultural shifts, big things that happened as they came of age, and how that might give context and meaning to how they see the world for the rest of their lives. You know, we've got the baby boomers, my parents' generation. We've got Gen Z, the group coming of age just now. Gen X, my older brother's generation that I barely miss. And then millennials, the generation that I barely make. But hearing the description of all of these makes me feel like maybe I don't quite fit any of these boxes. And I bet I'm not alone. Let's talk about Gen X, a group known as latchkey kids who came of age at a time that left them feeling fiercely independent, really pragmatic, but also maybe a little bit pessimistic, maybe a little disillusioned, and let's not forget with a deep and abiding love for Pearl Jam and Nirvana. Not me at all. And then you've got our millennial friends, a group of people known as being optimistic, tolerant, but also maybe on the flip side, a little naive, a little narcissistic, and let's not forget entitled. I mean, this is the group who just got trophies for showing up, right? I heard an amen on that one. But if you see this image behind me here, and something about it just like speaks to your soul, like it does mine, then friend, I would like to tell you welcome home. You are a part of the Oregon Trail generation. No, you did not actually die of dysentery, but you remember well that surge of adrenaline when it was your class's turn to go to the computer lab, and you got to put that big floppy disk into the computer and embark out west on the Oregon Trail. Were you a banker, or were you a doctor? Had you made this journey enough to know that you probably should pack an extra wagon wheel and axle if you had any plans at all to caulk your wagon and ford the river? If not, disaster was sure to strike. Now, some of you in the audience, younger than I, might say, oh, I played that at school, but if you killed your buffalo with the mouse as opposed to using the space bar and arrows, it totally doesn't count. So this group, the Oregon Trail generation, is also known as Zennials. This was a phrase coined by Sarah Stankorb, and what it means is that we are a micro-generation, amazing people born between 1977 and 1985, right between Gen X and millennials. So as such, we share qualities and characteristics with both, but we're uniquely our own. And the main reason why we're different is because we had a completely analog childhood, but have had a fully digital adulthood. Now walk with me down memory lane. Zennials were the first people to grow up with household computers and internet, albeit dial-up. And you could ask probably any Zennial what their first AOL screen name was and what the significance was behind it. I was Ajax91, A for Amy, J for Jackson, because that's my maiden name, and 91 because naturally, Dennis Rodman was my favorite NBA player. We remember a time when you had to go to the library and access the card catalog in order to do our homework, or reference our parents' set of encyclopedias. By the time we grew up and got older, we had to transition into finding research and citing it from online sources. So we saw this definition of information change from something that was static and had a degree of permanence to something that's ever evolving and changing by the second. And social media. So as adults, we're totally comfortable using it, but blessedly, we grew up without it. We're really the last age group that had our entire high school and the majority of college totally free from likes, shares, and posts. Now, I remember we got the Facebook at the University of Memphis during my last semester of college, and it was when you had to have a .edu email address in order to sign up. It was before all of our grandmas had joined. And I remember thinking, this thing is so dumb. All people used it for was status updates, basically translation of what they ate, and then to poke people. Does anybody remember that? There was lots of poking going on. So I went back to some of the earliest posts I could find on my Facebook wall, and I found this gem of a photo. This is from the Up Till Dawn student group at the University of Memphis. We were an organization that raised funds and awareness for St. Jude, and this picture was posted to my Facebook wall in the fall of 2005. Now, think about it. There were no smartphones, Facebook was not an app, and camera phones weren't really a thing. So some sweet soul This picture was taken a whole calendar year beforehand. Some sweet soul took her digital camera, connected the cable, put it into her desktop, uploaded photos, and then logged into Facebook from her desktop and chose what photo she wanted to add. I mean, she really wanted it. Really. You also could think about how much phone usage has changed. I think any Zennial could tell you their childhood best friend's phone number to this day. I'm about to turn 36, and I will never forget that Blair Dedrick's phone number, 3770317. I know because I called her all the time on my Clear phone. Most Zennials didn't get a cell phone until our late teens or early 20s. I did have a cell phone when I was 16. It had 100 minutes a month, and I barely used them. It was basically a new driver checking in device. I just had to call my mom when I arrived somewhere when I was departing. Now, that Nokia model that you see there on the screen behind me, that was my very first work-issued telephone. I felt like a big deal, but I felt like a really big deal when about 2006, I got upgraded to the corporate BlackBerry. I was like, I'm a professional woman now. It was a really big deal. So this walk down memory lane is fun, but what I want you to know, if you are a Zennial, we play such an important role. We can serve as a bridge between these two generations, Gen X and Millennials, who often have very different outlooks and who can receive one another in very different ways. Just think about it. All the things that we have to do here in Memphis, the opportunities to seize, the problems we have to solve, we are in a unique position to lead the way and to help really be a bridge between these groups. I came across this article, and it talked about why Zennials are so critical to the workplace. Now, I know I'm completely biased, of course, but I thought it made some really good points. Because we have a blend of millennial optimism and Gen X pragmatism, we get stuff done, and we deliver. Because of our sense of convictions and because of our access to education and resources, we're entrepreneurial, but we also feel a need to really take ownership of those ideas. And we've seen this morning how the ground we were walking on was changing under our very feet the whole time we've grown up. So because of that, we're nimble, we're agile, we know how to change. And what I really love is that we have the best of all worlds. We've got the influence and connection of our boomer parents and the proximity to Gen X and millennials that really puts us in a place to lead and be a bridge in a pretty exciting way. I love this quote from Sarah Stankorb. She said, "We were born in the quiet break between two generational moments, between the out all night dark horse Gen Xers and the sunny yet somehow still optimistic millennials. There we were. We were born at dawn." Thank you very much.